The Peddler, Valentina Yaga Vasiliev, is the newest upcoming hunter in Identity V, set to arrive in the game on April 24th, which is just around the corner. Once she's released, she'll become the 32nd hunter added to the game, following the previous edition of Hullabaloo last year. Naturally, fans have been eager to learn more about her. As soon as her name was revealed, discussions and theories began circulating across the community. Bit by bit, information about her began to surface, from the possible meaning behind her name to early guesses about her gameplay style. More recently, the release of her backstory video has added more depth to her character, giving us new clues about her origins. However, many parts of her story are still being kept under wraps. In this breakdown, we'll go over everything we currently know about the Peddler's backstory, starting with an analysis of her promotional lore video, followed by popular theories and speculations surrounding her character. Keep in mind that since her full lore hasn't been officially confirmed yet, most of what we'll cover here is based on interpretation and community theories. Think of this as supplementary information, rather than confirmed facts. With that said, let's take a closer look at what we know so far about Valentina Vassilyev.
Such a beautiful night. Lonely little birds. Would you care for a story? Once upon a time, a family lived in harmony and joy. But as desire consumed reason, their world was changed forever. In the cruel grip of hopelessness, the moon heard their withering prayer. And so the moonlight touched their souls, heralding a glorious rebirth. Beware the moon.
In breaking down her story, I'm going to look at her from two different angles because of the timing of her lore drop. First, I'm going to dig into her promotional video and what people are saying about her on Discord. Think of it like looking at her public face and what fans are picking up on before her official backstory was released. Second, I'm going to look at her official backstory. This is like getting the official story straight from the source. The reason I'm doing this is because her backstory came out right when I was basically done putting together my video about her. So, I need to add that information in to get the full picture. Let's start the analysis based on my interpretation about the video and discussions I've come across in the Identity V community, particularly from Discord. From these insights, here's a summary of Valentina Yaga Vasilyev's possible backstory. Valentina's story begins in what appears to be a large, joyful family with many children, at least 8, based on what's visible in the video. The family seems happy at first, but things take a dark turn when it's revealed that the father is addicted to gambling. This is where theories begin to take shape. It's believed that the father's gambling losses became so severe that he began to offer his children to bailiffs, which is officials responsible for enforcing court orders, such as collecting debts or making arrests. In one scene, the father is shown taking away the youngest child, a baby, presumably to settle his debts. However, his addiction only worsens, and over time, he ends up giving away all the children except one, which is the eldest daughter. This tragic downfall leaves what was once a bustling household reduced to just the mother and eldest daughter, a heartbreaking contrast from the happy family they once were. Later in the story, a mysterious event involving a ruby gemstone unfolds. While details are unclear, this incident sparks public outrage against the family. During the resulting chaos, the mother is attacked fatally while trying to protect her remaining child. Before she died, she wished Valentina to find her happiness again. As for the ruby itself, there's an intriguing theory tied to it. Some believe this gemstone has the power to alter a person's age or appearance, causing someone to look much older than they truly are. This theory is supported by a hint dropped during the official live stream, where developers mention that Valentina is an old woman on the surface, possibly implying that she is actually young on the inside, but has been physically transformed. After the death of her mother, Valentina is left alone and deeply affected by her trauma and grief. Her intense longing for family and emotional scars are believed to have driven her into madness. As a result, she began kidnapping children, possibly as a way to recreate the warmth and closeness she lost. According to the video, Valentina roams the streets at night, targeting children who are still outside after dark. She lures them using sparkling items and toys. One notable item is a ball that closely resembles the one featured in Richard's trailer, leading some to speculate that there might be a hidden connection between Valentina and Richard. However, that relationship is still unclear and remains a popular topic for theory among fans. Now for the second phase. Turns out that Valentina's official backstory came out while I was already finishing this video. So, to make sure everything makes sense and fits together, I'm going to rewrite it and include the backstory from the beginning. And here it is. Valentina always believed that the world is unfair. Still, she also believed that love could make up for what's missing. This belief stayed with her since she was a child. Valentina always believed that the world is unfair. Still, she also believed that love could make up for what's missing. This belief stayed with her since she was a child. She was born into a big family that didn't have much money. Even so, her parents were loving, and her siblings got along well. Because of this, Valentina never let poverty bring her down. Adding to this, Valentina was also a smart and capable girl. From a young age, she had a knack for business. She would turn simple items into beautiful, unique trinkets and selling them at the market. Her parents were always amazed and proud of her. That's why, to Valentina, being poor was just a small problem in an otherwise happy family. However, life doesn't always stay the same. Everything changed when her father, unemployed, started gambling and got addicted to it. The joyful laughter that once filled their home disappeared. No matter how hard Valentina worked or how much she sold at the market, it wasn't enough to pay off the growing debts. And thus, the once loving family fell apart. Then, one day, a stranger wearing a cloak appeared, handed Valentina a strange, glowing red gem. By that time, Valentina was so exhausted with her condition. It seems that the stranger offered her a strange deal, and Valentina accepted it without any thoughts. The moment she looked at the gem, she began to hear strange whispers under the moonlight, whispers that slowly pulled her in. She didn't realize that she was giving up her youth, piece by piece. In the official backstory, it is said that before her mother died, she whispered one last wish, which is for Valentina to find her happy home again. And that wish became Valentina's mission, the thing she chased with all her remaining strength. Years later, when the long famine and violent riots finally ended, the familiar sound of the cheerful girl calling out at the market was gone. The famine here, if I had to guess, must have referred to a certain historical event called the Tsar Famine, which happened in 1891. The famine, which is caused by the Tsar's policy to sell grain abroad, resulted in mass deaths of starvation in Russia. Still, Valentina had vanished, just like her old home, swallowed by the red glow of fire beneath the moonlit sky. Now, travelers and merchants tell a strange story. They say that on nights when the moon glows red, an old hunched woman appears, humming a haunting lullaby that no one recognizes. She moves quietly through the silver moonlight, handing out sweet candies and gently guiding lost wanderers toward a place no one knows. Now, let's talk about Valentina's origins. Just like many characters in IDV, The Peddler, Valentina Yaga Vasiliev was also inspired by a historical figure and a mythical figure. First, let's talk about her role, the peddler. Many of us know that she is the peddler, but perhaps few of us know about what a peddler is. So first, let's talk about the definition of a peddler. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a peddler is a person who traveled to different places to sell small goods, usually by going from house to house. This would explain her role in her backstory, which perhaps she went from place to place selling whatever she could craft and sell. That's right, she's essentially a peddler in her backstory. As for her name, Valentina Vassilyev, surprisingly, refers to a certain historical figure. In the long list of historical figures who have captured people's curiosity, Valentina Vassilyev is someone who often pops up in discussions, especially when talking about large families. She isn't famous for leading a country, creating art, or inventing something. Instead, her name is often brought up because of something truly unbelievable: the number of children she reportedly gave birth to. According to various records from the 1700s, Valentina Vassilyev, a Russian peasant woman, is said to have had 69 children in total. It sounds almost impossible, but that's what makes her story so fascinating and puzzling. She lived in Shuya, a town in Russia, during the 18th century. Her husband was Fyodor Vasilyev, a farmer. The information we have about Valentina doesn't come from personal letters or diaries, but from old records and reports that have been passed down through time. One of the earliest and most cited mentions of her came from a report supposedly sent to the Moscow government in 1782. It stated that Valentina gave birth to 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. What makes this even more unbelievable is that all of these births came from just 27 pregnancies, no single babies, only multiple births every time. If that sounds hard to believe, you're not alone. Over the years, many people have questioned whether the story is real or just a legend that got passed around as fact. After all, having so many children, all in multiples, would be extremely rare, even with today's modern medicine, let alone in the 1700s. The idea that a woman could go through so many pregnancies, survive them all, and raise that many children during a time when childbirth was incredibly risky feels almost impossible. Some historians have even tried to investigate whether the records were exaggerated or mistaken, but because it happened so long ago, it's tough to know for sure. Despite the doubts, Valentina's story keeps showing up in books, articles, and world records. In fact, the Guinness Book of World Records has listed her as the woman with the most children ever recorded. That record has never been officially broken or matched. Still, it's important to remember that just because a record is written down doesn't always mean it's completely accurate. Some researchers think the story may have grown over time or been repeated without being fully verified. The truth could be somewhere in the middle. What we do know is that large families were not uncommon in 18th century Russia, especially among peasants. Many families had many children to help with work on farms, or to ensure that at least some would survive into adulthood, since child mortality rates were very high at the time. But even by those standards, Valentina's case stands out. Multiple births, like twins or triplets, were, and still are, much rarer than single births. The chance of having only multiples for every pregnancy, without any single children, is statistically extraordinary. Unfortunately, very little is known about Valentina's personal life beyond her family size. There are no records of what she looked like, what kind of person she was, or how she felt about having so many children. We also don't know what her daily life was like, but we can imagine that raising such a large family would have required constant hard work, especially in a time without electricity. Feeding, clothing, and taking care of dozens of children would have been a huge challenge. It's likely that older children helped care for the younger ones and that the whole family worked together to keep things running. In the end, Valentina Vassilyev may remain a mystery. Whether she really gave birth to 69 children or not, her story still fascinates people today. She represents the kind of tale that gets passed down not because of clear proof, but because of how extraordinary it is. And that's sometimes what makes folklore, history, and legend blend together in interesting and unforgettable ways. Now let's talk about her middle name, Yaga. It is widely believed that the name refers to a certain figure named Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is one of the most memorable figures in Slavic folklore. She's often described as an old woman with bony limbs, a sharp nose, and iron teeth, flying through the sky in a giant mortar while using a pestle to steer. As she moves, she sweeps away her tracks with a broom, leaving no sign of where she's gone. Baba Yaga's origins go back many centuries. Her stories come from Slavic countries such as Russia, Ukraine, and Poland. Long before these tales were ever written down, they were shared orally, told around fires, passed from one generation to the next. Some people believe that Baba Yaga might have originally been connected to older pagan beliefs, possibly even representing a nature goddess or a spirit of life and death. Over time, as myths evolved and blended with other beliefs, she transformed into the eerie force which we know today. What makes Baba Yaga even more intriguing is where she lives. Unlike witches in Western fairy tales who live in dark castles or caves, Baba Yaga's home is a small wooden hut that stands on giant chicken legs. Her house can walk, spin, and turn itself around, making it hard to find or approach. One thing to say about Baba Yaga is that there isn't just one story about her. There are many, and each tells something different about her. In some tales, she is a dangerous, child-eating monster. In others, she acts more like a wise old woman or a mysterious guardian who can offer advice, magical gifts, or tests of character. One of the most well-known stories is about a girl named Vasilisa. After her mother dies, Vasilisa is left with a cruel stepmother who sends her into the forest to fetch fire from Baba Yaga. It's a journey meant to end badly, but Vasilisa is clever, respectful, and brave. With help from a magical doll her mother gave her, She successfully completes the impossible tasks Baba Yaga gives her, such as sorting out grains or cleaning the house. In the end, Baba Yaga gives her a burning skull lantern, which Vasilisa takes home. The fire from the lantern ends up destroying her wicked stepmother, giving the story a dark but satisfying ending. What Baba Yaga does in these stories depends on how she's approached. She often tests people, especially those who come to her seeking help. She might give them chores that seem impossible or ask questions that don't have easy answers. These challenges reveal a person's true nature, whether they're lazy or hardworking, selfish or respectful, fearful or courageous. If someone shows good character, Baba Yaga may reward them. But if they are rude, dishonest, or disobedient, she might punish them, sometimes in very grim ways. In some versions of the tales, she even eats those who fail her tests. What makes Baba Yaga so unforgettable is how complex she is. Unlike many fairy tale characters who are clearly either heroes or villains, Baba Yaga doesn't fit neatly into either category. She's both feared and respected. She's dangerous, but not always cruel. And she can be a powerful ally if you're willing to prove yourself. Through her stories, listeners learn that the forest is full of mystery, that challenges can be overcome with the right attitude, and that even the darkest figures can sometimes carry wisdom worth listening to. Even today, Baba Yaga's legend continues to inspire books, movies, games, and modern stories. She remains a symbol of the unknown and a reminder that sometimes the scariest figures in folklore are the ones with the most to teach us. That is, if we're brave enough to face them. Well, that's everything we can piece together about Valentina Yaga Vasiliev based on what we've seen so far. Just a heads up though, the game developers ultimately decide what her true story is, and since she's not officially out yet, a lot of this is still just us putting the pieces together. So, take it as a well-informed guess. Of course, if you notice anything I missed, please let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Silmina, signing off.